Good evening everyone. So the much awaited CLAT paper pattern, which was supposed to come tomorrow, has been released today itself, a day in advance. So the CLAT Consortium has released the CLAT examination pattern for CLAT 2020. So here we are at Gradeup. We'll discuss in this session that what exactly will be the question paper format, how many questions will be asked per section, and what type of questions will be asked, and some other important relevant details related to the examination. So the notification was expected to be released on 1st of January, but they released it today itself, and we are prepared with the session. So you see the number 131 here. Can anyone guess what does this number signify here? So we have exactly 131 days left from today for the examination CLAT 2020. So the examination is on 10th of May 2020, which is exactly 131 days from today. So you are left with 131 days of preparation. So today CLAT Consortium released the examination pattern, and they have released the question paper format. What will be the format of the question paper, the syllabus for the examination. So we'll be discussing that what all will be asked in the examination. So as it was already released previously that the examination would consist of 150 questions to be answered in 150 minutes. 150 questions and of 150 marks to be answered in 2 hours. So that was already known to you, and it was also known that there will be negative marking of 0.25 mark for every wrong answer. So this was already known to you, but now you know the section wise distribution as well. So how many questions will each section consist of? So as you know that CLAT 2019 had 200 questions, and the distribution was English had 40 questions, current affairs, GK had 50, legal reasoning 50, logical reasoning 40, and quantitative techniques 20 questions, which was essentially 20, 25%, 25%, 20% and 10% of the paper respectively. So this time again the distribution will be more or less similar. So as you can see that in English language there will be around 28 through 32 questions. So you can take the value as 30, the median value 30. So you can expect 30 questions from this section. Current affairs including general knowledge will have somewhere around 37 to 38 questions. Same for legal reasoning, you can expect 37 to 38 question. Logical reasoning 30, and quantitative techniques most probably 15 questions. So they have given a range, they have not given the exact number. However, the number would most likely be these: 30 in English language, 37 to 38 in current affairs and legal reasoning each, 30 in logical reasoning and 15 in quantitative techniques. So the distribution of the paper has been similar as what it was last year. The weightage of sections has remained the same, so there is no change in that. However, there is change in the examination pattern, the type of questions that will be asked in the examination. So let's have a look at as to what type of questions will be asked in the paper. So let's first talk about the English section. It has been clearly stated that the entire paper will be reading comprehension based. So there will be passages of about 450 words each. So ideally a candidate should read the passage in 5 to 7 minutes. So the number of passages is not known. So you can expect that 3 to 5 passages. You can expect 3 to 5 passages, and just an assumption. And there will be, the topics will be contemporary or historically significant fiction and non-fiction. So it could be fiction as well as non-fiction, but it will be related to some, it will have some contemporary or historical significance. Okay, so these will be the topics that will be tested, and the type of questions are also mentioned in the notification. So they've mentioned that they will test you on arguments and viewpoints. So you have to read the passage and understand the arguments and viewpoints of the author. Inferences and conclusions, so you need to draw the inferences and conclusions from the passages. Summary, there will be questions based on summary, summarizing the passage. You will be also tested on meaning of words, so the vocab will be tested only from the passage. So they'll test you on various words, they'll ask you the meanings of various words and phrases, but only from the passage. So no additional knowledge required. So in the entire paper, you don't need to have any prior knowledge. It's just about reading and understanding things. So the passages would be around 450 words each. The ideal reading time they have suggested is 5 to 7 minutes. They will be of contemporary or historical significance, and the type of questions will be based on arguments, viewpoints, inferences, conclusions, summary, and vocabulary based on the passage. Now moving on to the general knowledge section, again there will be passage based questions. Unlike previous years where they were straight questions, here also you will have passages of around 450 words, and the sources of those passages would be news, journalist sources, and other non-fiction writing. So these will be the sources of the passages. It is not mentioned how many passages would be there, but yes, each passage would have multiple questions. So you would have multiple questions from a passage. It is possible that a passage might have 5 questions along with it, or it might have 7, 8, or any number. We are not known the number of questions per passage. One important thing to be noted here is the questions may include examination of legal information or knowledge. The passages may be related to legal information or knowledge, but you do not need any additional knowledge of law beyond the passage. So whatever information they'll provide in the passage, you will have to answer the questions using only that information. You don't have to apply any other knowledge. So tomorrow they'll be launching a model paper with the once you apply for the paper, so you will be getting that sample paper. Nitin, yes, the current affairs section would consist of passages, so you will have to change your strategy. Obviously, you will have to avoid one-liners, because they have clearly mentioned there won't be any one-liners. All questions will be based on passages, and yes, the reasoning portion will be entirely of critical reasoning. We'll come to those sections as well. So just a recap of current affairs section, it will again be based on passages of 450 words each, around 450 words, and the sources would be news, newspapers and journals. There might be questions on legal knowledge, but you don't require any additional knowledge of law beyond the passage. So whatever things are stated in the passage, you would have to apply only that thing. So no additional knowledge of law required in this section. Areas to be tested, the topics which will be the passages would be based on are contemporary events of significance, so India and the world. So India as well as global news would be given in the passages. Arts and culture, so you might have passages based on arts and culture. International affairs, okay, and historical events of continuing significance. So they won't ask you questions on medieval history. They might ask you questions on contemporary world. They might ask you questions on post independence. So no historical event would be asked which has no significance as of today. So historical events of continuing significance would be tested in this section. So these are the topics they have mentioned that they would test you on. So the passages would be based on these, would be classified under these sections. So now let's talk about legal reasoning. So it is the most anticipated, it was the most anticipated section. So again, it will be a passage based section. So it was already announced that the entire paper would be reading based. So again, you would have passages of about 450 words. So here again, expect passages of that length, and the questions would be based on facts or scenarios involving legal matters, public policy questions, and or moral philosophical inquiries. So these would be the subjects given in the passages. And again, you do not require any prior knowledge of law. Okay, so no prior knowledge of law is required in any of the sections. Many of you had doubts that whether they would test prior knowledge of law or not. However, if you have prior knowledge of law, it would be beneficial to you in answering some of the questions. So what type of questions would be asked in legal reasoning section, as they were asked previously as well? They would be inference of rules and principles. So you would be presented some rules and principles. You have to infer them. You have to apply such rules and principles to various fact situations. So you will be given some rules and principles, and you would be given some situations. You have to apply those rules and principles to such situations. So inference, application, and understanding how changes to the rules or principles may alter their application. So it is inference of rules and principles, application, and changing of rules and rules or principles. So basically, it is a sort of critical reasoning related to legal matters. However, you don't require any prior knowledge of law. So they won't ask, they won't expect you to have any knowledge of law. However, you should be able to think critically based on inference, application, and changes of rules. Now coming to the next section, the logical reasoning section. Again, it will be a passage based section. Here the length of passages would be short. So it is stated that passages of about 300 words would be given in this section. Okay, and there would be questions based on argument, premises, and conclusions, inferences and their application to new situations, relationships and analogies, contradictions and equivalence, assessing the effectiveness of argument. So basically, the entire section is critical reasoning. Okay, so there is no analytical reasoning here, it is all critical reasoning. Okay, the length of passages would be short in this section. So it is explicitly mentioned that it will be all critical reasoning. So the difference between the logical reasoning and legal reasoning would be that the legal reasoning part would be based on legal matters. However, the other reasoning would be on generic passages. But the things tested would be the same: arguments, inferences, etc. So in the legal reasoning part, you will have facts and principles given, and you have to apply those rules and principles. You have to infer them, use their application, and see what if changes are made to such rules. However, in logical reasoning section, you will be given normal passages. You have to use argument. You will be tested on arguments, premise, conclusions, inferences, and application to new situations. You might be asked relationships and analogies, contradictions and equivalence, and effectiveness of arguments. So it will be entirely critical reasoning based. Now talking about quantitative techniques, again there won't be any single questions, all would be set questions, and the question types would be based on sets of facts or propositions. So you might have caselets, and it also says graphs or other textual, pictorial or diagrammatic representation. So you might be asked questions on bar graphs, line chart, pie chart, you might have tabular DI, etc. So these are the different type of questions that might be asked in the examination. And yes, again in this section you don't need any knowledge of any advanced mathematics. So you will be tested on ratios and proportions, basics of algebra, mensuration and statistical estimations, which might mean you might be asked to calculate mean, median, mode, etc. So basic mathematics. However, you won't be tested on arithmetic concepts. It does not mention testing you on arithmetic concepts. So this is the examination pattern of quantitative techniques. Now CLAT Consortium has mentioned that they would be providing some preparatory material which would include guides to the questions on paper and sample questions. So they will provide you some sample questions, they will give you some model question papers, they will give you instructional materials for each of the subjects. Since it is an entirely new pattern, they will give you some model question papers and they will give you some practice material for each of the subjects. In order to get that material, you have to complete application on their site. So only those candidates who have completed their application would get access to this material. So we would advise you that try to apply as soon as possible so you get access to this material. They're opening the application tomorrow, which is just 5 hours away from now. So you can just apply and get access to all this material. So they will provide you the questions, that the type of questions that will be asked in the examination, and they'll give you sample material and exercises for each of the subjects. So you will get the entire full length papers as well as sectional material. So we advise you to apply as soon as possible so that you get access to this material. And we at Gradeup will also launch the test series. We had launched a test series. We'll make modifications as per the new pattern and shall provide you mock tests on the latest exam pattern. And in the end of the notification, they have given an advice to the candidates that please read quality newspapers regularly, because the entire paper is reading based. Okay, so unless you have a reading habit, you won't be able to complete the paper, as you won't be able to read the questions in the paper, because most of the sections are reading based. So you have to enhance your reading speed, read quality newspapers. This will not only help you in current affairs, this will also help you in English. Also in the other two sections, it will build your critical reasoning. And for quantitative techniques, they have mentioned that practice with 10 standard mathematics textbooks. So they won't ask you higher mathematics, it will be basic mathematics and statistics. So you can practice using class 10th mathematics books. So this is the advice for candidates from the CLAT Consortium. So try to apply as soon as possible so that you get access to the preparatory material. And we at Gradeup will also give you the mock tests. So we have a grade in our app. You can prepare for CLAT. We give you daily quizzes, we give you study notes, and we do have exam related announcements. We provide daily current affairs, and we also have current affairs sessions on YouTube. Okay, so we will give you previous years papers in mock format, and we'll also give you the latest exam pattern, latest mock test as per the latest pattern. Please subscribe to our channel to get further updates on CLAT examination and its preparation. So we'll prepare you in the best possible manner for the upcoming examination. We'll be coming up with a new test series on a new pattern very soon. So today they have released the notification, and we'll go through the sample material and build content for you. We'll provide you mock tests for CLAT 2020, so you can take our mock tests and practice for the examination. So Gradeup wishes you all the best for the examination and wish you a happy new year. Thank you.